When people talk to me about The Day of the Doctor, I often refer to it as the Doctor Who movie because one, it had a theatrical release. Two, it clocks in almost an hour and 20 minutes, basically an hour and 19 minutes, but you get my drift. And to top it all off, if we can call movies like Justice League a movie, then I think we qualify. So let's review this thing. The Day of the Doctor is a Doctor Who episode like no other. It's the 50th anniversary special. It premiered on the actual 50th anniversary date. Wow, that's crazy to think that this show is that old. It basically stars Matt Smith, Jenna Coleman, David Tennant, John Hurt, Billy Piper, and a couple other faces that you're familiar with within Doctor Who. And it's also written by Stephen Moffat, the guy who is responsible for series 5 through 10, along with episodes through the Tennant series called Blink, which might be the best Doctor Who episode personally, but it all depends on who you ask. I personally love the 11th Hour the most, but that's a different story for a different time. Now, I'm continuing my Doctor Who reviews by doing this, and basically, I don't know when the heck Series 11 is going to get here, but if it arrives mysteriously, I'll be able to put out these 3 videos that I'm planning on putting out, so yeah. So the Day of the Doctor touches on a very touchy subject in the Doctor's life. Basically, before the 9th Doctor came along in the revived series, that Doctor was known for blowing up his planet Gallifrey in the war between the Time Lords and the Daleks. And it's been something that has been haunting the Doctor ever since, because to save his people, he had to destroy his home, his entire race. And that's what made this new generation of Doctor Who so different and so refreshing for a new audience. And we finally get the answers of how did this all go down. Now, in the last episode of Series 7, we get a moment where Matt Smith turns around and looks at a voice where someone says something like, "No more," and it zooms in and it says, "Introducing John Hurt as the Doctor." And that's one of the most badass ways to introduce a menacing character. And yeah, John Hurt, the late John Hurt, R.I.P. by the way, is just so fantastic in this role. Like, oh man, I wish that he had a run as the Doctor. But yet again, his character that he had to play for the Doctor isn't your traditional Doctor, so it makes sense why he wouldn't get a series, of course. Anyways, this story is about the current Doctors coming together. Well, because of budget reasons and because some Doctors are passed away in the past, sadly. We got the 10th Doctor, the 11th Doctor, and the War Doctor all coming together, meeting each other. It's such a huge nerdgasm event for any Doctor Who fan. And yeah, now first of all, what I want to talk about this episode is that it's not shot like an episode. Like I said, I like to prefer this as a Doctor Who movie because it was in theaters. But also, it's kind of shot in a style that's more cinematic than any other Doctor Who episode. It's clear that the budget is way bigger than any other episode of Doctor Who. It is shot, like I said, glamorized like a Hollywood movie. Well, whatever you guys call them in London, but I mean, you get what I mean. Is that it's glamorized for cinema viewing, and it really shows. Plus, it was shot in 3D, so yeah, also the 3D is not that bad. I don't own a 3D TV, I just have a PlayStation VR headset and I can watch 3D movies, and it still kind of holds up. Not great, but I'd rather much watch it in a theater than have something strapped to my face. But other than having stuff strapped to my face, let's just move on. Basically, David Tennant comes back as the 10th Doctor, and which wouldn't kind of make sense because it's a paradox. The Doctor is meeting his former self, but they explain, like, well, when he leaves seeing these Doctors, he's not going to remember him. Same goes for the War Doctor. So yeah, and it's really cool that we get to have David Tennant back as a Doctor. I mean, he's not my personal favorite Doctor, but I can see why a lot of people love him. He's just, when people describe the Doctor, he just kind of comes into mind, and I just get that. But I guess because I started out on the Matt Smith series, I just prefer Matt Smith. Also, John Hurt is just so great as the War Doctor. You can tell that he is just while somewhat scary that he's been built up to be, you also get where he's coming from because he doesn't want to see his entire race burn. And right when they all decide to jump through that portal and they all end up together, just the chemistry from all three of these guys is just written so well. I mean, Moffat did a really good job making this episode. And I ain't really got much to say other than that. Now, the companion is put back to the side, like Clara. She's an okay companion, in my opinion. But a really missed opportunity, in my opinion, that could have made this episode an A+ is the fact that they had Billie Piper back as the bad wolf. Basically Rose, but bad wolf. Because she sort of has her memories. If you've seen the episode, she even tells the War Doctor something in his future in a joking manner. And so that clearly means that she's seen, Rose from the future, I guess. Maybe because David Tennant's doctor is in that scene. And there's even a moment when he mentions Bad Wolf and David Tennant's doctor is like, huh? And yeah, it kind of just feels like a throwaway thing. It's a little disappointed. Even fans of the Doctor Who fan group on Facebook are just like, yeah, that's a missed opportunity. And I don't get that either. I mean, could they not only have her, but so many days? I still don't understand. I'm just saying. But honestly, I'm not complaining because, hey, we get to see Billie Piper back on Doctor Who. And it's probably the last we're going to get to see of her, sadly. My downright favorite scene in this entire episode, movie, but I'll refer to it as an episode for the review. But my downright favorite scene is when the 10th Doctor and the 11th Doctor meet, and then the War Doctor comes into it all, and they're just terrified of the War Doctor because of the memories that they have. It's just so fantastic. Now, I'm going to go into spoiler territory, so skip, to the time that I put on the screen. If you don't want spoilers, okay, I'm going to go into spoilers. So, as we all know, the War Doctor is responsible for causing the destruction of Gallifrey, basically destroying his entire race. And yeah. But what I like about this story, and everyone else does, and that's so genius, is that they retcon it to where the Doctor actually freezes Gallifrey in a stasis cube, I believe it's called, basically saving them in a moment frozen in time. That way until he can figure out what he can do to basically save them from the Daleks. And personally, in my opinion, that's a really great genius idea. And the Doctor can't remember that because, the last time he had a thought about Gallifrey is that he was supposed to blow it to hell. So it makes all sense, it checks out, and it really makes for a compelling story when you rewatch the 9th and 10th Doctor, including those first 2 years of the 11th Doctor. Plus, we get an awesome cameo from the 4th Doctor himself, Tom Baker, who is the curator. It's a little mismatched. They even say that it could be a future version of the Doctor, or it could have been the 4th Doctor. It's very complicated. As the Doctor would say, very timey-wimey stuff. So, yeah. Plus, we'll get our first look at Peter Capaldi, who is just so great. Whenever I get to his series, I'll definitely talk about his Doctor. But just the shot of the eyebrows is just so amazing, fantastic. What else could you want? I'm going to give this episode a downright A. I absolutely love this, and I can't wait to see more. It is so fantastic. It's shot so well, and it leads into one of my favorite Matt Smith's episodes, which is his last episode called The Time of the Doctor, and I'll be reviewing that next. So if you guys want to see more Doctor Who content, click over here to see my Series 5 review. And I'll do the series themselves separately someday, but I'm just going to focus more on finale specials and regeneration episodes until Series 11 gets here. Because I'm pretty sure we're going to have to wait a good time between Series 11 and Series 12 whenever it gets wrapped up. So, anyways, if you guys want to see more, just subscribe or check the channel out and click that other video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Amen out.
I compare you to a kiss from a rose on the grave.